Brian Shaw has released the events for this year's Strongest Man on Earth, and what a brutal contest it's going to be.
Slightly different setup today, Lozzie.
I know, we're not in the same room. Can you believe it?
We're not on the same continent, can you believe it? This is an outrage, but we still have to get together and talk about this because, well, first off, he's released the events before Worlds have. I'm not surprised.
Crazy, isn't it? I mean, the fact that Worlds haven't released the events is getting frustrating, but Brian doing what he does, even with athletes that, 8 athletes are confirmed for the Strongest Man on Earth, and he's already released the events. I think this is good. I think most major comps should be announcing events early to the athletes and to the fans. And really good to see Brian has got these out even before we know all the athletes.
Yeah, and I think when you've got so many events and they are this heavy, that you can't possibly release them too early. So shall we go into them then?
Before we go into them, I think when I saw them, I was like, damn, Brian wants to kill these guys.
I think I took some time because first I saw them, I thought, yeah, cool. Then I looked at them again. I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's hard. Then I watched his video and I thought, man, that's really hard. But
I watched his video this morning, and this is going to be one of the hardest competitions ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And like he said at the end
to
of
the
his
point,
video,
I think some athletes will genuinely be concerned about it.
Yeah, I would be concerned if you were still competing. I would be genuinely afraid of this competition, I think. But he's trying to find the strongest man on earth. This is the only competition like it throughout the whole calendar as well, where, I mean, it's 8 events, but really with the medleys, it's kind of 10 tests, isn't it? It's more like
it's
10
a lot
events.
to train for, yes, and extremely heavy as well.
Yeah, it's definitely solidified itself as the heaviest competition of the year. So Brian did say this is in no particular order. We do know what's going to be the final event. I guess the rest is open to jigging around. But the first event he mentioned was the max log press.
Max log, always a great event to see. It'd be good to see the log lift record challenge this year. We've obviously had Ian Bibby, who's the current record holder. Zadrunas dominated the log lift for a long time. We've seen from the Arnolds this year and how good the athletes are right now. Pressing seems to be higher than deadlifting standard.
In terms of
we go back a few years ago,
we
had more good deadlifters. Right now, I'd say we've got more good pressers. So we could see some huge numbers go up on this.
Yeah, I'm particularly excited to see Lucas Hatton on this. It really makes me want to see Andre Foitu in this competition as well. I don't know that he's going to get the chance to qualify, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's still 8 more places to go. I don't know if Andre is quite there to get the invite to that, but maybe a good strongest man performance would get him there. But we're going to have some good athletes for sure, and a number of athletes well capable of going over 200 kilos.
Yeah, and if it is the first event, everyone's going to be lovely and fresh. So hopefully we see something special. So the next event, well, I'm guessing these won't be back to back because it's the chest press, the standing chest press. He describes it as his second overhead event of the competition. Would you consider it an overhead? Because I was thinking, oh, is it?
No, it's not an overhead. It's a pressing event, and I'm sure that's what Brian meant when he said that. The amount of times I say things without.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure it's just a slip of the tongue. He knows exactly what it is, but it's obviously a second pressing event.
Yeah. And I'm excited because we are going to be there, aren't we? And we didn't get to see this in person. And it is quite a outstanding piece of apparatus.
It looks
huge. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Who do you think is going to challenge here? Because Brian won it, didn't he? Because it's only been used one year.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because we don't often see like a bench press type of movement in strongman. I think someone like Austin Andrade looks like he could be really good at this. Trey Mitchell looks like he could be good at this. But Brian won it. So, and maybe you wouldn't always recognize him as the biggest bench presser out of all the strongmen. I would have loved to have seen a prime Zadrunas do something like this, or Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an interesting one. And I'm presuming it's going to be the same way they did with the kegs. Like
it is.
Locking in, so it's going to get progressively heavier. I think Brian was the only one that did it all as well last time.
I think he was the only person.
I might be wrong in saying that. I remember a lot of guys struggling with it.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem to suit the big barrel-chested men more, doesn't it? Like sort of going through the names.
It naturally will, just because you kind of have a shorter range of motion. You kind of just lock yourself in and push as hard as you can with each rep. It'll be interesting just because obviously we looked at the events, so there's so many heavy events.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, people talk about powerlifting. Powerlifting is 3 events when you kind of have 3 max events, and that's tough. The Arnold super heavy competition is 5 events, and the athletes are broken after that. To have 8 super heavy events,
Hmm.
I don't know what people are capable of, because I don't think we've seen an event this heavy over this many events before. So
With
maybe
this
it's a
many
step.
max events as well.
Yes, there's a
Max
lot
weight
of max
events.
events,
Yeah.
different like twists on max events, but
Yeah.
you're going to have to be super strong and super durable as well. I can see
Durability is going
athletes
to be key.
dropping out halfway through this contest.
Yeah. Do you think the standing chest press is going to be enough to put off Thor? I was seeing quite a lot of comments online last night
No,
about
he's a decent presser. I think
with the pec injury though, and a fear of a reoccurring injury.
this look. There's always a risk of injury every time you step out of competition. Thor is an absolute beast, and he's one of the best strongmen we've ever had. The mentality of these men is not the same as your normal man.
No. No.
You know,
Agreed. I know.
there'll be more concern for someone like Thor in training than there would be in competition.
Yeah.
And the chest press, you can kind of use more tricep strength than just pecs. But I think that the fact that you get the extra barrel, the barrels come in and it's progressively heavier helps as well, rather than going straight in on one
Yes.
heavy lift. But I don't think it puts him off. No.
No. Okay. So then we've got, now this one I am excited for because I've wanted to see something like this for a while. So it's being described as a trap bar deadlift, a max weight deadlift. But Brian described in the video that he's working with the Rogue team to build an absolutely humongous frame that's going to have side handles. Didn't mention the height or anything yet. Going to be filled with huge tires. It's going to be an epic piece of equipment. And yeah, it's going to be a max event. Presumably it'll be like Brian's usual rules of no suits, but regular figure 9, I guess, straps allowed.
It'd be interesting to see if they use straps or not, because that could throw a spanner in the works. I
Real
guess
spanner.
I'm going to guess if he wants max effort, it's going to
Yeah.
be with straps. That concerns me as well, because when I say concerns me, obviously I coach a few athletes that could end up doing this competition, and you want to protect them. And I think a trap bar deadlift allows athletes to push that a little bit harder. You're centered through the bar rather than having the bar in front of you, so you can lift more. And again, I mean, I think we're going to see some ridiculous numbers lifted.
Yeah.
Like you, as a fan, I think it's cool. We'll see some big lifts.
As a
But as an
coach.
athlete or as a coach to athletes, these events can get scary when you go into the weights that they're capable of.
Mm,
We'll go well over 500 kilos on this,
yeah.
maybe close to 600 kilos,
Which
which is
is just
insane in
wild
amount
to
of weight to
imagine.
have the body supporting,
Yeah.
particularly if it's in a fatigued state as the contest goes on.
Yeah.
Um, I think some athletes will look at this and think, yes, this is awesome. Other athletes will be really worried.
Okay.
As a
Oh,
fan, I mean, you're looking forward to it, you said. You
well,
know,
I was.
well, I'm not trying to put a downer on it. I'm just
No,
trying
no.
to just show
I,
how, as fans, we look at it one way, but as athletes,
yeah.
maybe we look at it a different way as well. You've got to remember these guys are competing regularly throughout the year. It's, it, I love what Brian does, absolutely love it, and I'm looking forward to being out there. But there is an element of concern for the safety of the athletes. At some point, you've got to think, okay, we want to see the strongest, but we want to keep these guys safe as well.
Yeah, of course. Right. So we also have then, speaking of grip, a frame carry into the seated arm over arm. So that's the towers that Brian's bringing back. Hasn't mentioned weight yet, but he said it's going to be a heavy frame.
Yeah, I mean, this is an event we've seen very similar to at the Shore Classic and Strongest Man on Earth before. We've seen the wheelbarrows into
Yes.
the arm over arm. We've seen various different arm over arm implements used. This is nice, good standard event that Brian's had in the show. And although it'll be heavy, doesn't concern me as much in terms of injury wise for the athletes. I think they'll be able to get through it. Hand strength, obviously, hugely important. We'll see some athletes that just might not even go anywhere with the frame. We'll see other athletes that kind of blast through everything. I think we'll see a good mix throughout the
Yeah.
16 athletes that end up competing.
Mm. Then we have, now this one's really interesting. So it's essentially the super yoke, but it's going to be a massive custom built safe carry. And it's also going to be a max's event in as much as it's probably going to be rounds of increasing weight.
Yeah, so what I gathered, it's going to be a set distance. You do the weight. If you get the distance, you go up in weight.
Yeah, yeah, potentially with the possibility of skipping weights. We really don't have the details yet, but a very interesting twist on a super yoke. I know a couple of men that are going to be very happy with this event.
Um, Who do you think is going to be happy with this one?
I think Mitch would like this.
Okay.
I think Lucas Hatton and Evan Singleton also.
It's interesting with yoke
I
because
might be
obviously,
completely wrong.
well, a yoke at a certain weight for speed is one thing. A yoke for max weight is a little bit different. We saw the yoke they did at the Arnold's years back, and
The 500
it's
kilo one.
no. When they did
Oh,
the
the bell tote.
rear
Yeah, the
toe,
massive. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
So do you remember Shivlikov just kind of up and down and up and down and up and down, just killing himself to get it done?
And
And
it
we've
was a
seen,
very short distance as well, wasn't it?
yes, yeah,
Just a
very
few
much so.
meters.
I love a yoke. I really do, and I like various different kind of types of challenges to yokes. I am concerned about this one because I know a lot of athletes that at the Arnold's that event really messed them up.
And Brian did say not as heavy as the bell tote.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
That's
I
good to
don't
hear.
think
As
that's
long
the
as it's still got a
intention.
time element to it, I think
Yes.
that's good. If it's just about max weight, that would be more concerning to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think the intention is that it's still a moving event, not just a, do you know what I mean? Because the bell
Yeah,
tote, it was
just
something else.
the thing with the yoke, when you go super heavy with it, the setup is so important. Getting that bar right, and when you're rushing, sometimes you don't kind of get the bar right across the traps and the rear delts. Then it's pressing on the neck. Then it can become very dangerous.
Yeah,
So it's just again, just when I saw how many static events there were, it concerned me. Just athletes are going to have to get big and strong, and I, I want them to be safe. That's the only issue. Brian is an amazing strongman, and I know he would have done great with this type of competition. But sometimes when you retire, you just think this sounds like a good idea because I don't have to do it. and
well, Brian made this a brutal competition when he was still competing
absolutely, no, no,
in his
no,
twilight years of a
no
night.
question about that. And
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it really is the hardest competition in the world right now. I don't think anyone can deny that. And if you win this, you are a hell of a strength athlete, and
Yeah.
arguably the strongest man on the planet.
And we're not done there. They are bringing back the manhood stones. So
This is
these
good. Good to see these back. And
I'm glad he hasn't allowed all of the zeros last year to put him off. Like
yeah,
he said in his video, I think strategy wise, strongmen are going to approach this quite differently to last year. So
yes,
the
I think so.
heaviest stone is obviously 600 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot more athletes will kind of be a bit more reserved.
Yes.
Particularly, we don't know what event this is going to be, but if it's deep into the competition at this point, these athletes are going to be sore.
Oh
And
God, yeah.
if you have ever trained yourself and you've kind of gone to a max effort on a log and then a max effort on a deadlift, and then they're talking, all these other heavy events, then you try and do stones after that. Much, much different to doing it fresh when you're just doing one stone. So I think they will be kind of looking at what needs to be done, starting safe and kind of working through the stones rather than maybe just taking the risk and jumping straight at the heaviest stone.
Yeah. So we also have a max weight throw. So it's going to be a keg toss, and it's going to be a set height, so a 15-foot bar, but heaviest keg over. So
I
that's
actually like this one. This is
yeah,
this is cool. Good variation. Last year I think we had max height.
we did, yeah, yeah,
This year max weight. And the best throwers win. It's just nice to see a different variation. I think we could see some decent weight go over if Thor ends up competing. He's a great thrower. We've seen other great throwers as well compete at this contest. So I don't know what athletes are capable, but I think we'll see some heavyweights going over.
yeah. And then this one is confirmed as the final event. So it's going to be a tire flip into the power stairs. Now, tire flip is, Brian said in his video, haven't seen it for a few years. We know why, because obviously it is a bit of a bicep buster, isn't it? Yeah. He said they're going to make it as safe as possible. It's going to be the right surface. It's going to
I
be
saw he's
decent
going
tire.
to, and Brian will get a really good tire. Sometimes a heavier tire is actually safer than a lighter tire as
Because
well.
they're not using their arms, they're using their body.
Yeah, sometimes on the lighter tires, athletes just rip it up off the floor, whereas the heavier ones, you've really got to put the chest into it. The bigger tires that are a bit deeper, a bit heavier, you have to put your chest against the tire,
Mm.
use more leg drive, and actually you see less injuries on those heavier tires than you do the lighter ones. I'm always a little bit concerned with the tire, just because we have seen so many injuries on them.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Brian will get the best equipment that you can. And then obviously we're into the power stairs, I think, as the second
Yeah.
implement. We
Heavy
don't know how
power.
many flips it is, do we?
No, he didn't mention, no. And I guess until he knows how big the tire is, how big the space they're working
How
with
heavy
is.
it's going to be, I'm sure
Yeah,
he'll test it
yeah,
himself. So yeah, always interesting. Tire flip, never my favorite event. I mean, I used to like watching it, particularly thinking back of Maris Pudzianowski back in the day, just
We used to see it
crazy
a lot.
tire flipper. But there have been a lot of injuries on tire flip. So there's always that concern, I think, from athletes and from fans as well. But I kind of like the power stairs element where the athlete finishes on top of the podium, always quite cool.
I
And
always like it when the winner finishes not covered in tacky as well,
yes,
so that they
always
can celebrate with their family and friends without being like that.
yes. We had an issue with that once, didn't we?
We've had many issues. My clothes have almost been ripped off of me because of the
But
tacky.
no, I think it'll be an interesting finish to the contest. It's going to be a brutal show. You know,
Yeah,
we've got 8 athletes down already. Brian's going to wait for Worlds, watch what other athletes doing this year to make his final 8 selections of 16 of the best athletes in the world. 8 absolutely brutal events. This competition is hard.
yeah,
You know, I've been a little bit concerned in this video, and it's just because I do care about the athletes. I want them to get through as unscathed as possible. However, who ends up on that podium is going to be an absolute warrior. Super strong, super durable, just a freak of nature. You're going to have to be. Hopefully, we see some amazing records. I think as the contest goes on, we'll see less records broken just
yeah,
because of how hard it is. But maybe
yeah,
on those first few events, we could see some records go. I think athletes will be smart in not worrying too much about records and
yeah.
focusing more on putting points together because this is going to be an absolutely brutal one. Right, guys, let us know your thoughts on the Strongest Man on Earth events. 8 absolutely crazy events. Looking forward to it. Slight concern as well. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you guys next time.